are being held now, and you may join them. I will answer the questions who will benefit, for whom this is disadvantages, and what both parties may do. Why, for whom this is beneficial? This is beneficial for the whole society in Ukraine. Why the reforms are being held so slowly? Because we do not have enough good people in necessary positions. Actually, in each ministry, we are now creating a small small garden where we'll produce, where we will cultivate the new civil servants of the new generation, who may, for whom this process is disadvantages. For those who wish to preserve the old corrupt system, those who would not greet new people in the civil service, what those people can do? They will oppose this. They will hinder the process, of course. The judiciary reform is a good example. The conditions for candidates are made even more complicated. People are being discouraged. For example, when candidates arrive, they are told, of course, you can apply, you can leave your documents, but you have no chances, which is very discouraging for people. Sometimes sometimes even the competition organizers try to distort the conditions. Thus, they say that the contest requires special experience in civil service, why it does not. Also, they use some tricks like trying to push out at early stage the candidates which arrived from outside of the system. They try to say that the documents are not satisfactory, etc. What could be the methods of counteraction? Only interference of civil society could prevent these new staff competitions from collapse. As an NGO, we can continuously appeal to all the candidates and encourage them to read the conditions of the contests very carefully, and encourage them to read the provisions to the very end and to understand that there are a lot of lie about these conditions. Then we would encourage them to read carefully all the announcements in the Korea.gov.ua, where all the possibilities for social lift are provided. Then we will keep informed, keep the broad public informed about what's going on in the civil service. Now we have established new directorates in the ministries which shape up the public policy in different areas, and this is quite new, and this is the biggest opposition to those new directorates. So we need your attention, your involvement into this process. And of course, we will keep all the society and our international partners informed, because of course this is Ukrainian society which need reforms the most, but also the international community which follows up the process in Ukraine. I'm Vadym Miskiy from Reanimation Package of Reforms. RPR is a coalition of NGOs, and we keep an eye, keep very attentive on the processes going on in the civil service and on the process of reforms in general. For us, it's very important that key vacancies in the civil service dealing with quite a new area, that is formation of public policy, that those vacancies should be filled in with the proper people. It is important that the staff contest should be very transparent. Just a bright example, a contest to the Supreme Court, which is now over, but only improper people are recommended for approval to the president. These are really wrong candidates. We do not wish to have the same with civil service, to get a list of discredited people, to get a list of people who are ready either to serve their own interests or who are unable to work in those positions. Not all the memberships of selection committees are published on the website, but in the majority of commissions of committees, there will be our representatives or representatives from our foreign partners. But of course, our voice is the advisory voice, and only the state secretary working in the committee has the right to change the situation, to postpone a candidate, to reject the candidate, etc. Quite often, the old elites try to bring in their candidates, and we need to stay firm to oppose this old process. But unfortunately, neither RPR, even together with the Association of Professional Government Association, Center of Policy and Legal Reforms, Nova Kraina, etc., they won't be able to oppose this. We are Professional Government Association. We unite 3,000 people who got education abroad, who worked abroad, and came back to Ukraine. These are people who are ready to work in line with transparent rules. For these 3,000 people ready to provide assistance to Ukraine in reforming process, are ready to contribute, I think it's a last chance to do things right. back in 2014, some people joined ministries, and although now there is not so big demand in the new people, but we nevertheless keep very attentive eye on the process, and mm, we understand that we should not allow wrong people to become civil servants. We have formed a group of volunteers uh, uh, who provide assistance in submission of documents to fill in the vacancies or to participate in the staff contests. The Secretariat of the Cabinet of Ministers is open for cooperation. A month ago, we have signed a memorandum that we will very closely involved into this process. So now we encourage people to join the process, not to allow opponents to win. We believe that the result of this pilot project will be positive. I'm Ihor Koliushko. I'm head of the Center of Policy and Legal Reforms. Actually, everything is already said by my colleagues, and I've been thinking hard what to add, and nevertheless, I would like to mention something. In this civil service reform, the following thing is important. The government did everything best, did its best to launch the civil service reform. After Orange Revolution, for example, many people many new people wished to join the ministries and to reform the ministries. But since there was the old system in place, those best wishes, they failed. Today we have established new directorates which will work in new way. But what is important for successful implementation of today's reform? The contest committees should be taken very seriously. They should abstain from attempts to manipulate, to do things in wrong way, etc. Of course, we will do our best to ensure the civil society supervision. But those who will supervise the process, please listen to me attentively. You should not think that the positive result of the reform should be the radical change of civil servants. If equally incorrect is to leave only the most professional civil servants. I believe the most proper result of reform should be as follows: half and a half. Half of the staff should remain from the previous membership of the civil service. And the new part, which will definitely have a new approach. What is needed for this new staff of the directorates. New people should have a feeling that the public policy for which the directorate is responsible, that they should have the full ownership of that policy. They should be ready to produce the best result, to produce the best possible policy in the area where they work. I think that in the directorates, they should reach proper results. If people think that they are going to the service, that they are ready to carry out some assignments, maybe that's not bad by itself, but that's not what we wish to have in our directorates. Now about those who have already applied or who are thinking about applying for the vacancies, to the vacancies. It is important to get ready to the contest. And the preparation is needed to everybody, to very experienced civil servants who believe that they know everything. They should read once again the provisions about the directorate, what will be the future area of the directorate, what and how it should work in future. Those who decided to join civil service for the first time, irrespectively of their background, I encourage them to read once again the documents produced by the Cabinet of Ministers about our civil service process. You may know much about experience of other countries, but you can make mistakes answering about the process and procedure inside our ministry. So I encourage all the candidates to read carefully all the provisions and regulations included into the contest condition, contest terms, and to get ready to an interview. And the final piece of advice to the government: you should finalize the whole process in the ministries. Not in all the ministries those directorates are formed fully, because in those ministries where directorates are not formed, they cannot involve new people. I understand that it is not easy to do this to create directorates in all the ministries and in all the policy areas. Some ministries dared to do this and they succeeded, while other ministries preferred to create just one or two directorates in some areas of policy, while other departments of the ministries remained unchanged. And some departments will be excluded from the ministries in the future. Thank you very much. Now we start our Q&A session. Oksana Mikhailova, Fakty, ICTV channel. Uh, would you please mention specific ministries and the vacancies in which you plan to fill, to understand, for people to understand to what ministries they can apply, to what level of management they can apply. And the second question, what will be the salaries? You mentioned that salaries are high. What is the minimal salary? And also you mentioned that um, the requirement about civil service experience is removed. What we should point out, all the information is provided at the career.gov.ua. We have 10 ministries, 10 pilot ministries: Ministry of Social Policy, Ministry of Health, the Agrarian Ministry, Ministry of Science, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of the Regions, Minenerha, Culture, Secretariat of the Cabinet of Ministers, National Agency on Civil Service, and National Agency on E-Governance. As for the number of vacancies, at the first stage, we offer around 1,000 vacancies for filling in. As of now, we have announced more than 100 vacancies in those bodies which I have just mentioned. As for the positions, leader of the directorate, leader of the expert group, and state expert. As for the wages, the expert will get 30,000 hryvnia, while the department leader would get 55,000 hryvnia. I should mention that new requirements into these vacancies provide not for the knowledge of legislation, but the leadership competencies, conflict resolution abilities, etc. In the past, those competencies were not measured or even mentioned in selection process. Now they had become the key. Requirements to the positions are developed in the way to leverage chances for old staff of the ministers and newcomers. Thus, the expert position does not require any experience in civil service. If a person would pass the test successfully and would pass the interview successfully, then such person may fill in the position of state expert. What about civil servants of the lower level? What about them? The first stage of the public administration reform is targeting the central civil service, central executive body staff. But nevertheless, we believe that those pilot ministries will additionally establish new directorates in the ministries to cover all the policies inside the ministry. Then we will add 8 more ministries to the reforming process, and they will reform all their policy directorates. But our objective is not to change people in the entire system. The quality is very important for us. That's why we have selected just 8 ministries. We will improve them, see the result, learn the lessons, and then continue to work for them. Andrei Myhal, Liberalism Institute. I have got an experience from my participation in the selection of police, etc. There are rumors. There are rumors from people striking in front of ministries that some ministers are looking at this opportunity to just to transfer the current staff to higher salaries. So the whether you have put any barriers for this, and whether you expect this reform to be successful. First of all, the important result of this stage, the important essence of this stage, is to select people via transparent competition. That is, to provide equal chances for those people who work in private sector and in now in public sector, and allow them to allow us to select the best. Then we understand that maybe some civil servants were already promised that they would be able to become new civil servants with new salaries, to bring in their people, etc. That's why my reform delivery office provide explanations, consultations, and warn people that it won't be possible just to bring old people from old ministries. That's why we also encourage NGOs to join us. With this, I would like to give the floor to my colleagues who may share the instruments which they use for the monitoring of the process. I would like to mention once again 2 important things. I would like for media to mention the online portal where people can apply. Then there are very useful advice how to apply tax declaration, who are partners, and I encourage you to inform people that if they face some problems, they should appeal to NGOs, to civil society organizations. We have our own hotline where we have volunteers. Those volunteers are trained to provide assistance to the potential candidates. In order to do this, we should know your problems. I also would like to add that, of course, there is the threat that old staff will just be transferred into new positions with new salaries. There are even the shadow lists of such people. But I would like to encourage the leadership of those ministries, including ministers, state secretaries, heads of departments, that having done such a step, they will destroy their own positions. Quite often, people today keep saying, we have our very weak staff, we do not have sufficient salaries, etc. So when they will transfer old people into these higher positions with higher salaries, they won't get this possibility in future to blame the improper people. The second, being a member of the committee on the higher core of civil service, I had experienced how difficult it is to monitor decisions of the contest committees. The merits, the points awarded by contest committee